Hello, everyone, and welcome to Botcast. I'm your host, Mansa. Today, we have a special guest, Rasna Asrani, Vice President of Digital as a Services Vodafone, here to discuss generative AI and its impact on business. Welcome to the show, Rasna.
Thanks so much, Mansa, for taking out the time and inviting me to actually share my thoughts over here. A little bit about me. Been working now since 21 years, I would say. Started my journey, right at the base level in a call center. But then after that, I think my inclination was towards quality, towards process, towards technology. And that is where I switched within a couple of years, right, and worked my way up. Last about 12 years, I have been completely into digital, where I have worked with various technologies, right from chatbot to automation, robotics, mining, you name it. And it's been a very interesting journey so far. And currently, I'm leading a team, where I'm managing a center of excellence, managing these different technologies and implementation in Vodafone. So, thank you for that, Mansa.
Thank you, Rasna, for giving us, sharing your journey. And I think it has been quite an incredible trajectory in your career growth, that where you are currently placed. So, with no further ado, let's dive right in. Rasna, in the ever evolving world of generative AI, what recent developments have particularly piqued your interest and why?
I mean, that's a good question. I would say, see, generative AI has progressed over the last few years, and I'll still not say it's the end. There is so much more to really unlock because we are not completely there yet. While I speak about all the good things of AI from a productivity, work efficiency point of view, I think for me, personally, what really piqued my interest is, from a creativity point of view. If anybody who is very creative and is into art, right? If you know an AI tool called DALI,
Yeah.
it was a surprise, right? Earlier, this tool you could generate maybe art only with a few inputs. But now, if you realize generative AI can help you with real time animation, music, audio for various use cases, and you will, for me, I would say you would see this as a continuous growth, right? Over a period of years, enabling musicians, songwriters, art creators, sound effect professionals, and any normal user, right? Like a you and me, if you have an inclination towards art, you can actually get the full potential of generative AI tools and express your creativity. So I found that really interesting, a big change, apart from only focusing on the, let's say, the work related front. I thought I'll share that with everybody.
Fascinating. Now, I understand you had some experience in implementing Gen AI in various sectors. Could you share an
Yeah.
instance where generative AI or AI in general played a pivotal role in transforming operations within the sectors you have worked with?
I'll give a little bit first a background, right? Now, one of the biggest plus that I see in operations or in our industries, right, where it has helped us is that AIs can help out with a high level of personalization, right? Now, how this happens is that there is a huge amount of data feed that goes into the data analysis, data generation, right? Data prediction capabilities. And in that way, you are able to really personalize what an individual really wants. I think today all of you experience some amount of it, right? If you look at Netflix and you go into it and you realize that, oh, the content that you have watched previously, somebody is again, only the similar type of content is getting recommended for you. Similarly, if I can say from the telecom industry, when we are looking at driving sales, we are looking at identifying the right target audience, right, from a marketing point of view. So I think AI driven personalization, I think for us to draft the content from a marketing propaganda using personalized information of people and customer behavior, analyzing their demands to increase the sales, I think is something that we continuously use. Also, what is the best product, right? What are the best plans that we offer as a consumer or as Vodafone that we go ahead and offer? You are able to do, you can predict that using data, right? And can we offer something more what the customer is looking for? And that itself is going to help, I think help with our overall revenue generation. That's the top line. I think that is something I would say is how we are using it in our industry. The second thing is, telecom is purely from a services point of view, right? And when you're looking at services, everybody wants a personalized service. We have something called as chatbot. You all may be very familiar with. Now, if you look at a few years back, a chatbot was very similar to like a robot, right? What you feed in, you can, get some answers that I have a query today, right? My network is giving a problem. You will type in something, you will reach a chatbot, and the chatbot will try saying, do some troubleshooting steps. With generative AI, I think it's gone one step further, where you can actually have a conversation, right, with the bot. The bot can create its own training content based on the experience and the data that we look at feeding in. And in that way, let's say from a productivity point of view, if I don't need a human to actually answer that query, and for a consumer, if you can get an answer 24 by 7 without being dependent on a person, I mean, how amazing can that be, right? So we have been using that extensively, I would say. A lot of innovation in those areas, in being using chatbot, using other technologies, even process mining, right? Huge amount of data, no longer, right, that you need to go ahead and do a one by one, that you need to, look at drawing a process map. Data throws out, right? What is the process map for you? So I think in various ways, in terms of identifying trends, being more predictive, right? Being more personalized, and preventing then, I think, moving things into a human and being, let's say, being done by the bot itself using the generative AI technology, I think is where I have seen this, benefiting the business, both the top line as well as the bottom line.
It sounds like a game changer as businesses increasingly embrace generative AI. How do you foresee it impacting the traditional process assessment and improvement methodologies?
So I'll give you a very good example. I currently am working on process mining technology. And, if I can give an example, because I come from a Lean Six Sigma background as a master black belt, what we used to do is, go on a whiteboard, draw out a process, right? Understand and go into step by step, do a data collection, and then see, what is the baseline of a process, and then work towards the improvements and see what needs to be done to change, move it from a point A to a point B, right? From a customer success point of view. However, now with technologies, let's say something like a process mining, now you no longer need to draw out a process map, right? You are actually taking data from the source system, you're feeding it into a platform, you are having already coded, let's say, a low code, no code outcomes where you don't spend a whole amount of time, because there are apps which are built using AI on what is the best practices, and you already get a visual of, what is your map, how much variance is there, what is the standard process that, people are following, how much of deviation is there from that standard process, how many different paths that process is taking. And, with a little bit of analytical knowledge, you are able to figure out what is wrong and why it is, having maybe 1,000 different paths instead of, a few paths that a process should take. So I would say, I mean, look at it, right? Where we used to spend days in terms of doing traditionally process mapping, process understanding. Now you use solutions, right, which are AI driven, can just give you that output. Of course, analysis is something which is still always going to be with the human, but this just helps speed up the process, right? And the time to value just increases. So I think for me, improved decision making, innovation, right, that we are able to bring some products and new processes and changes into the processes so fast, it just fosters innovation, right? And it helps the team stay ahead of the curve. So, I mean, these are some of the ways that I would say generative AI is really taking over, right? And this is just one part of it. If you've seen from a software engineering point of view, the QA side of things, right, where you do a quality check today in terms of building what should go into a product, build of the test data, right from creating user stories, what should be your checks in a product development, everything is being provided by generative AI models. right? So for an engineer, let's say a software engineer, having a Gen AI is only going to complement what he or she is doing and even just help speed up the process, which today everybody wants, right? You don't want to wait for years for something to come alive.
Certainly, the integration of generative AI into existing systems is critical consideration. Now, coming to the last question of our segment, what obstacles do you foresee in this integration and how can businesses address them effectively?
Yeah, I think one thing we all need to pay heed to is that it's a growing technology, right? Generative AI. So people who know about Chat GPT, it's just revolutionized the whole world, right? Where you have everything accessible. Chat GPT is a very good example of generative AI. However, I think few things which I can say that we should keep in mind. One, it is a very because we are not as mature, it is a very resource intensive, I would say, model, which means that training a generative AI is extremely complex process, right? Which requires time and resource. Even after that, ensuring a high accuracy in its output is not easy, right? So we have to be cognizant of that fact. Also, the results and time, it relies on a very high quality data. We all need to bear that in mind that anything related to generative AI is dependent on data and what you feed into it, right, to make accurate predictions. So if your data is incomplete, if it is inaccurate, if it is outdated, if it is biased, right, because of the different demographics of the people and what they have input into that data, it can obviously then lead into unreliable results. So that is something, is another area to be mindful of. I think for large companies, though, the biggest, I would say, area or an opportunity is the security part of it, right? So many organizations, if I can say, have argued on the user data to train the AI models. So in terms of regarding security of the user data, the privacy and the accessibility, I would say these are certain things that big organizations are always concerned about, and there is an opportunity on how this can be streamlined further because generative AI also builds its own test data. How are we able to use that? How do you again correlate it back to the original data because it goes on creating new information is something for us to still I would say explore a little bit more and then take forward. So I mean I would say yeah, maybe resource intensive, unreliable results, security related threats which are there. I would say as the three things from a disadvantage point of view that big companies, organizations will be mindful of.
That wraps up another episode of Podcast. A big thanks to Rasna Asrani for sharing her insights with us today. Rasna, you have any parting words for our viewers?
Oh no, thanks. I would say just I think it's been a very interesting topic. I would say, there is always so much more that one is able to talk about. I have been only been able to share based on my experience, but I'm sure Chat GPT, as you guys know, have changed the world, right? The way we look at things, the way we look at information. But one thing I would say we all are very mindful about is that while technology is there, I think the element that humans add to, making that a success is always critical, right? And we should always keep a good, I would say, a blend between both, right? Human as well as technology, and use it in the best way possible.
Thank you so much, Asrani.
Sure.
Have enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more engaging conversations. Thanks for viewing, and until next time, take care.